Good afternoon. The Honorable Henry Paulson, our esteemed graduation speaker, SAIS faculty and staff, honored guests, parents, family members, and above all, the class of 2015. It is my honor to welcome you all to the commencement ceremony of the Paul H. Nitze School of Advanced International Studies of the Johns Hopkins University. Today, we celebrate the graduating class of 2015, the 71st in SAIS's history. As individuals, you came to SAIS with an impressive personal global footprint, hailing from 60 different countries. Your varied experiences and backgrounds add to the school's global diversity. As a class, you studied, lived, and worked alongside one another, bringing your lessons from the world to SAIS's 3 campuses in Bologna, Nanjing, and Washington, D.C. You discussed political theories, tested economic models, applied your skills in practicums and internships, learned foreign languages, and debated current events. SAIS boasts a demanding curriculum, and it showed. I watched as your class spent many late nights at the library, early mornings in the Nitze Cafe, and numerous weekends cranking out group projects. Some of you spread across the globe, pursuing internships and career treks, to practice what you had learned. Your hunger to spur social innovation, initiate political change, and pursue economic transformations led you all over the world, from Colombia and Israel to China and Belgium. When you came back, you shared stories of innovation and entrepreneurship, new friendships and partnerships, the true face of conflict and war, and the challenges and promises of economic growth. In doing so, you envisioned a more stable, prosperous, and better governed international order. But you didn't always have to leave campus to reap the benefits of what the world had to offer. At SAIS, the world came to you. You participated in unique events, engaging heads of state, private sector executives, renowned academics, and influential thought leaders from around the world. In October, on the sidelines of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund annual meetings, you held your own in debates with prominent economic policymakers and chief executives of leading global enterprises. As you had these discussions, thousands of demonstrators participated in pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, speaking out against high real estate prices and stagnant wage growth. Your combined coursework, economics and regional studies, prepared you well to understand the implications of such protests from an economic perspective, but also from regional and cultural vantage points. Our cross-disciplinary approach remains one of the distinguishing features of a SAIS education and of our graduates as they enter the professional world. During your time at SAIS, we witnessed the transformation of geopolitics in the Middle East as the war in Syria ravaged on, with growing implications for regional stability. In December, you discussed these regional issues with experts from Iraq and Syria and the United States at a SAIS-hosted conference on national reconciliation and negotiation in Iraq and Syria. You witnessed the international community facing complex questions of identity and sovereignty, from the annexation of Crimea by the Russian Federation to the referendum on Scottish independence. In the United States, we faced our own protests and equally challenging debates on identity following the tragic events in Ferguson, New York, and more recently, Baltimore. SAIS students mobilized a school-wide conversation about domestic civil rights and global human rights. We were honored to host Cornell Brooks, president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, as part of this dialogue. On the eve of President Obama's trip to Asia, you heard Secretary of State John Kerry outline a path forward for the United States' relationship with China, a topic we follow closely as we expand our long-term relationship and new strategic partnerships in Asia. You made SAIS proud through your many intellectual endeavors through the year. You published your insights in premier publications such as Foreign Affairs, the SAIS Review, The Atlantic, and the Foreign Policy magazine. Others organized topics and conferences on women and global leadership, war reporting, and diversity in foreign affairs. Finally, through your many practicums and internships, you gained firsthand experience on the most pressing international development challenges. You and your class evaluated the importance of state and federal policies in supporting the rapid expansion of solar energy. You surveyed rural communities in the Philippines that were vulnerable to natural disasters and also transformed sanitation, health, and nutrition services in Mexico. These are the kind of experiences that makes us Johns Hopkins SAIS, and the school's founders would have had it no other way. When Paul Nitze and Christian Herder conceived of the idea of the school in Washington, D.C., Row House in 1943, they envisioned an institution in Washington that would be outside the government, but close enough to it to exploit the knowledge and wisdom of those in it, with ties to business, labor, and the media, and with an academic core to give it continuity and depth. That vision is reflected today in your accomplishments. But I must remind you that you did not get here alone. Just as you stand on the shoulders of giants like Nitze and Herter, you have also been carried along by the strength of parents, siblings, friends, classmates, and colleagues, spouses and partners, and our esteemed faculty and administration. I would like to especially thank our dedicated faculty. It is their personal touch, commitment, and intellectual thought leadership that forms the foundation of the prestigious education you have received at SAIS. All of you have benefited from the standards of excellence that they follow in their own scholarship and which they have instituted in their programs. You have relied on the faculty's wisdom and counsel in getting the most out of your education at SAIS and planning your futures. What you have learned from them will be your guide throughout your careers. I know they will also continue to support you as alumni. As you depart for foreign shores, jobs in public service and the private sector, and new experiences in the field, remember that SAIS will always be your home. One of our strongest qualities at SAIS is that we are a tight-knit community, and much of that is because of your commitment to the school. I'm grateful to the tireless hours all of you had devoted towards supporting extracurricular programs at SAIS. So much at this school is initiated and organized by students, from the weekly cookie and happy hours to the SAIS-a-Palooza talent show to the Cherry Blossom Ball and staff rides to Columbia and Philadelphia. This tightly knit community would not be possible without your personal investment in the school and the dedication of your elected leaders in the Student Government Association, which is a vibrant group that includes the participation of over 30 student clubs at SAIS that combine with the work of the SGA to make the student life at the school stellar. Congratulations to the Africa Association, which won the Affinity Club Award, and the Energy and Environment Club, which won the Career Club Award. Both clubs demonstrated excellence in leadership, programming, and collaboration. Your class demonstrated its commitment to the community building efforts by organizing food drives with nonprofit organizations in Washington, participating in Habitat for Humanity, and cleaning up Rock Creek Park. In sharing your ideas and participating in the activities of the school, you became part of our vision for a modern, diverse, and innovative SAIS. Throughout your time at SAIS, you learned what it meant to benefit from the family of SAIS alumni, an extraordinary group of individuals who are committed to your success. You are now inducted to this global network of 17,000 strong. Our alumni have shown us that the SAIS degree has a broad range of professional possibilities. For instance, you can be the next Peter McGowan, the SAIS graduate who became the managing partner and president of the San Francisco Giants. Or you could be the next Jody Williams, an alumna who received the Nobel Peace Prize for her work to ban landmines. Today, you also join the broader university community of alumni, and I welcome your class into the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association. Do not underestimate the power of your alumni network. You will all find each other again in all sectors, all roles, and all regions of the world. Remember to help each other. The world is more complex, more interconnected, and more vulnerable to traditional challenges than ever before. Tackling complex global challenges requires intellect and commitment, but also collaboration, strong relationships, and empathy. SAIS has provided you with a firm foundation to enter this world. It is now up to you to share it and make it your own. I'm confident that you will do just that. Good luck, congratulations, and go forth and make SAIS proud. Thank you. I will now present the SAIS Founders Award, which is given to an individual or individuals who have provided extraordinary support to the school. Past award recipients include Pamela Flaherty, Bernard Schwartz, Morris Offit, Robert and Maria Evans, Peter Flaherty, Benjamin T. Rome, Paul Nitze, and Stephen Muller. We are honored to posthumously present the 2015 SAIS Founders Award to former SAIS administrator and founder Priscilla Mason. Priscilla passed away on March 23, 2012, at the age of 98. She left an enduring legacy at SAIS through her commitment to scholarship excellence and public service. Today, we honor her transformative legacy of giving to SAIS, both in endowment of the Christian Herder Professorship, as well as the establishment of the Priscilla Mason Fellowships for Public Service. The Priscilla Mason Fellowships provide tuition support to a SAIS student who intends to pursue a career in United States government service. Priscilla completed her master's degree at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy in 1943. While she worked at the Fletcher School, Dean Halford Hoskins persuaded Priscilla to join him in Washington for a special undertaking. He was working with Paul Nitze and Christian Herder to form a new graduate school to train future diplomats and experts in international relations. In an oral history interview in 1999, she described setting up admissions and administrative offices for SAIS in a borrowed law office located on 15th Street with no air conditioning, one telephone, a stool, and a file cabinet that served as her desk. Priscilla spent the next 24 years working at SAIS, managing registration, financial aid, admissions, fundraising, and administration. She officially retired from SAIS in 1967, but remained deeply connected to the school through her dedicated financial support and friendships. Today, we would also like to thank and recognize the faithful stewardships of Priscilla's State by including John Goldwaite and Doris Blazek-White in our recognition. John has been a true friend to SAIS over the years. We are pleased to welcome John to the stage to accept the 2015 Founders Award on Priscilla's behalf and share a few thoughts about Priscilla's legacy at SAIS and beyond. John.
Thank you. Thank you all, Secretary Paulson, Dean Nasa, faculty, parents, graduates, family and friends, Priscilla Mason. On behalf of Priscilla, I want to thank you all for this kind gesture. It was over 20 years ago that Priscilla became very alarmed at the cost of attending SAIS and the impact it was having on many of its students who would have accumulated enormous debt and enforcing them to go to Wall Street as opposed to the Foreign Service for which SAIS was founded. This alarmed her terribly, and as such, she summoned Doris Blazek-White and me to the offices of Dean Wolfowitz, who was then the Dean of SAIS. And at that time, the three of us conceived a model for the series of fellowships that continues today. Since then, there have been over 21 Mason Fellows, with grants totaling over $800,000. And I'm proud to say that to a person, they represent the very best of SAIS and what SAIS is all about. I'm proud to accept this award on behalf of Priscilla Mason. I just wish you could be here. She was a kind and generous soul and was a proud surrogate parent of SAIS and its students. Thank you all.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It is now my honor to present the SAIS Distinguished Service Award, which recognizes an exemplary commitment and service towards advancing the SAIS mission. This year's award recipient is John Harrington. For the last 13 years, John has served as the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs. For his association with SAIS actually spans over 40 years as both teacher and senior administrator. Throughout his tenure at SAIS, John has shown himself to be the consummate professional, but also a caring and compassionate man devoted to the well-being of the SAIS student body and his colleagues. It is never beyond John to take time out of a busy day to help a student or a colleague solve a critical problem that may have been impeding his or her success or that of the school. Indeed, the success that SAIS has enjoyed over the years has been shaped in no small part by the influence of John Harrington. We will miss John in the capacity of Associate Dean. However, we are thrilled that he will continue to teach in the International Economics program. In addition to his achievements, John has made a deep impression on the faculty and staff, all of whom he has come to know and been in contact with over his many years here at SAIS. I would also like to thank him personally for serving as a most valuable and trusted advisor to me during my time as Dean. And it is my honor to present the SAIS Lifetime Achieve Award to John Harrington. And now, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the 2015 commencement, the Honorable Henry Paulson. As a businessman, China expert, conservationist, and author, Secretary Paulson is a truly cross-disciplinary practitioner and thinker who exemplifies what SAIS aspires for all of its graduates. Among his many accomplishments and qualities, his place in history will forever be defined by his perseverance and commitment to public service while he served as the 74th U.S. Secretary of Treasury under President George W. Bush from July 2006 to January 2009. In his best-selling book, On the Brink, Secretary Paulson details his experiences of fending off the near collapse of the U.S. economy during that great recession. Secretary Paulson's keen instincts and careful judgment of the crisis were built upon a 32-year career at Goldman Sachs, where he served as chairman and chief executive officer. But his contributions to global stability and prosperity are not limited to government service and the private sector. Through an activist spirit, commitment to conservation, and strong relationships in public and private sectors, Secretary Paulson has built an influential network of research and advocacy programs in recent years. In 2011, he founded the Paulson Institute at the University of Chicago, which aims to advance sustainable economic growth, a clearer environmental approach, and cross-border investments in the United States and China, a country with which he has had an enduring relationship based on the critical role he played as a business leader and statesman in guiding China's economy to integrate into the global economic order. Through his work as a founder and co-chairman of the Latin American Conservation Council, he has connected public and private sectors to find solutions for infrastructure challenges and water and food insecurity in Latin America. He also co-chairs the Risky Business Project, a nonpartisan initiative that quantifies and publicizes the economic risks of climate change in the United States. Secretary Paulson's successful think and do approach is the ultimate guide for the SAIS graduate who is looking to make a lasting impression on the world. Please join me in welcoming Honorable Henry Paulson.
Thank you very much, Dean Nasser, and thank you all for inviting me to be part of this very happy day. And my wholehearted congratulations to the graduates. You know, the cartoonist Gary Trudeau had an interesting insight on commencement speeches. He said they were invented largely in the belief that graduates should not be released into the world without being properly sedated. So I'm pleased to fill that role today. I think I will excel at it. In some ways, coming back for this commencement is like coming back to a safe place. After I left Treasury, I came to SAIS for almost a year, and I want to explain what SAIS students did for me. I don't think most Americans realize how close this country came to a financial catastrophe in 2008. Several times during the crisis, our economic system was hanging by a mere thread. Between the exhaustion from the months of pressure and sleepless nights, the withering criticism from the press, and the investigations, it was a particularly tough time for me when I left Treasury and I arrived at SAIS. I arrived with little joy or purpose. When Jessica Einhorn, who was the dean then, asked me to come to SAIS, I said to her that I just didn't have the capacity to work with students, although I normally enjoyed that. I said, I don't want to teach, I don't want to spend time with students, I just want to write my book. And she said, I still want you to come to SAIS. So I settled into Paul Nitze's old office, and it was a reflective and therapeutic time for me, a very special time. And the students whom I'd initially wanted to avoid provided many bright spots on otherwise dreary days. Because when I was asked to spend time in classes or meet with students, it was fun, it was stimulating. And what I loved about the SAIS students was that they were motivated to serve and to find ways to make a difference. It was uplifting for me to see their intellectual curiosity, energy, and optimism, and to encourage it and to be part of it. So it's important for me to personally say thank you to SAIS and its students for the period of recovery and rejuvenation they gave me. So thank you very much. Now, I know the unstated implication of your seeking a degree from SAIS is that you want to understand and help solve the world's most pressing problems, and that you want to be part of the leadership to do just that. And since it's customary for commencement speakers to give advice, I will talk to you briefly about leadership. And I probably have about a dozen rules on leadership that I generally give, but I will talk to you today about only 3, because I think that's all it will take to sedate you. Okay, the first rule, define your job expansively. Here I'll give you an example from China, where I've made well over 100 trips over the last 25 years. The growth of communist capitalism in the 1980s and the 90s sparked an extraordinary burst of prosperity in China, but it also led to mismanagement and corruption on an epic scale. Just about every entity of the state plunged into business. Even the People's Liberation Army had turned itself into this huge commercial enterprise that owned and tried to operate thousands of companies. China's fledgling capitalism had a Wild West feel, and few places were as wild as the province of Guangdong. GDE was one of the country's biggest, most visible companies, and it was into everything, including an eel farm whose eels allegedly had been washed away by a flood, if there had ever been any eels there in the first place. It owed $6 billion, and it was on the brink of insolvency. In the midst of all this, Vice Premier Zhu Rongji and Wang Xishong, a remarkable man and a friend of mine whom Zhu sent in to clean up the mess, decided to define their jobs expansively by making a radical break from the past. And they were going to use Guangdong as a model. It was a revolutionary concept for the Communist Party to let a company fail. But by not allowing failure, the excesses and abuses would continue to grow, and this threatened China's economic progress. The stakes were incredibly high. This was modern China's first bankruptcy, and it took real guts to endure those layoffs, to break through vested interests, to stand up to local political leadership, to hold people accountable for their crimes and incompetence, to fight the pressure to bail out the foreign banks. But this changed the way that business was done in China, because international investors no longer believed that the government would make them whole if they made risky investments. Wang Qishan and Zhu Ranji built China's credibility by having the courage to define their jobs expansively. I urge you all to do the same. Which brings me to the second rule of leadership. Admit when you make a mistake. When I get asked what mistakes I made during the financial crisis, I acknowledge I made plenty. But we got the big decisions right, and we avoided the economic abyss. Why? Because when we got them wrong, we corrected them right away on the battlefield, and we reversed course. Let me tell you about what was probably the biggest mistake I made. When I went up to Congress to ask for TARP funds, I said we're going to buy illiquid assets, but would not put capital in the banks. Clear as day, that is what I said. I had also told the president that. It's not a good feeling to go into the Oval Office to tell the President of the United States that you were wrong. But the situation worsened much faster than any of us thought, so I went to see President Bush and I said, Mr. President, it's not going to work. Things are so bad, we are going to need to put equity into the banks. He said, you just told the whole world you were not going to put capital into the banks. But he never once raised issues of polls or the politics. He said that if that's what you need to do to protect our economy, do it. So we reversed course and we went full speed ahead. In a matter of months, we recapitalized America's banking system, injecting capital into 700 banks, healthy and not so healthy ones alike, before any more failed. That was a novel approach and one of the reasons why our banking system and economy recovered much faster than Europe's. None of us like to admit mistakes, but if the situation changed, if the facts change, or your understanding of the facts change, you need to be prepared to deal with it and to move forward. If you live with your bad decisions and keep defending them, you own them forever. If you acknowledge them, you can change course and do so with new energy. Third rule of leadership: get the right people around you and then listen to them. You may have heard of SARS, or the severe acute respiratory syndrome, which is a quite virulent form of pneumonia. In early 2003, an outbreak of SARS paralyzed travel to and from Asia for months. China and Hong Kong were the epicenter of the outbreak, and the initial efforts of China's health minister to ignore or conceal the dangers helped to sow panic. People were not only afraid to visit China, some were also afraid to meet with anyone Chinese. I was at Goldman Sachs at the time, and Goldman, like every organization I knew, restricted travel there, and I was forced to cancel several trips to China. But since I was scheduled to visit Japan in early June, one of my colleagues, Deborah Lair, a woman with very good instincts who understood China very well, suggested that I continue on to China. The crisis appeared to be abating, but very few people were traveling because of the lingering fears. We also checked with Wang Qishan, who had been installed as new acting mayor of Beijing to fix the SARS problem, probably because he had successfully cleaned things up in Guangdong. And Wang Qishan said it was safe to travel to Beijing. So I got on a nearly empty United Airlines flight from Tokyo to Beijing, and I've been told that I was the first Western CEO to go to China following the outbreak. My arrival was on the evening news, on the front pages of the newspapers the next morning. The publicity was a great boost for China, which was seen as open for business once again. I didn't know it at the time, but in some ways, this became my most important trip to China while I was at Goldman Sachs. For years afterwards, Chinese friends and even strangers referred very, very gratefully to my visit. We now know only 350 people on the Chinese mainland died from SARS, which is infinitesimal compared to China's population of more than 1 billion then. In retrospect, the world really overreacted. But this simple personal gesture of going to China gave me more credibility than almost anything else I could have done. It created a bond because I was there at the hour of need, and it was thanks to the insights and judgments of Deborah Lair. So surround yourself with good people and then listen to them. Let me start winding these remarks down with this thought. As I mentioned earlier, it was the students of SAIS who helped me regain my purpose, a purpose that has given me a new direction. I believe the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. has is with China. I also believe that by far the biggest economic and environmental risk that we are facing today is climate change. And this is coming from a Republican. Now, this risk is even more pernicious than the risk we faced during the financial crisis, because on this one, the government can't come in at the last minute to avoid a disaster. So with a new crisis came a new job for me, starting an institute. I call it a think and do tank that deals with U.S.-China relations with a focus on economic issues and in the environment. Because without China, we cannot curb climate change risk or make meaningful progress on a good number of other global issues. So I'm trying to define my job expansively, trying to get good people around me and then listening to them, and trying to correct my mistakes when I make them. My work is fully engaging me. Your jobs and leadership opportunities are waiting out there for you, and they're going to be exciting and challenging jobs and opportunities. There is a very important work for you to do, work for which you are prepared and qualified to excel, work that requires your leadership. I am confident that you are up to the challenge. So in closing, let me extend my heartfelt congratulations and my warmest best wishes to the graduates. So thank you all.
Thank you, Secretary Paulson, for your incisive and inspiring speech and for joining us today. Class of 2015, it is now time to award your degrees, the moment you have worked for so very hard for since you first applied to this school. I would like to now ask Noemi Crespo-Rice to come to the podium to introduce the SAIS graduating class of 2015.
Thank you, Dean Nasser. It is my pleasure to present the candidates for the Master of Arts. Anam Abdullah. Rima Abuziab. Ana Maria Akhamad. Elizabeth Agassi. Maheen Ahmad. Yasser Ahmed. Tobias Auckland. Sana Ali. Jenna Allen. Laura Anderson. Maria Anderson. Stefan Adonovsky. Kristen Andre. Shauna Aaron. Reina Askew. Dina Asmaru. Alexander Augustine. Ambra Avenia. Ryan Ball. Halady Zira Banu. Mary Battle. Bailey Beers. Benan Bedhan. Lucia Belnatkova. Garrett Burnson. Joyita Baskar. Allison Bickle. Chloe Bilodu. Augusta Binns Berkey. Maya Bloom. Brock Bodine. Robert Ban. Victoria Bosselman. Evan Boucher. James Bowen. Kevin Boyland. Marcus Brakel. Sam Brummett. Corey Bullock. Orwashi Bundle. Christopher Berger. Dylan Bird. Alfonso Camacho Martinez. Dong Tu Kauhu. Tina Carmelit. Francesco Chinadasai. Supanat Janam. Karishma Kanrai. Chun Mun Chow. Emily Chen. Zhu Yi Chen. Sharon Chow. Yun Chin Chiu. Grace Sinius. Laurentina Caesar. Eleanor Coates. Leah Cobelli. Andrew Coughlin. Tucker Cole. David Collins. Kathleen Collins. William Collins. Caroline Conroy. Kyle Cook. Brian Corey. Elisha Corsofini. Jesse Cota. Kevin Cottrell. Matthew Couliard. Christine Croft. Catherine Cromack. Connor Cronin. Alex Davey. Rebecca Deguttri. Holly Deaton. Mitchell Delaney. Chelsea Dengel. Nicole Deutsch. Thea Dickerman. Megan Doherty. Alessa Donadi. Xiao Chen Dong. Eleanor Dung. Virgil Doyle. Teo Edun. William Edwards. Constantinos Eustatio. David Ellie. Vivian Eka. Douglas Emiat. Yi Fan. Brett Federley. Margot Fimbrazy. Rachel Finan. Sean Finlan. Logan Finucane. Sandra Fischetti. Daniel Flesh. Lila Ferdush. Brian Fox. Lauren Frederick. Bree Freeman. Diane French. Gory Gadgill. Elizabeth Gallia. Joseph Gallagher. Royal Gamber. Shmaisław Grebchowski. Sadie Garcia. Alana Gorelik. Kira Gartsu Katsuyani. June Ge. Alexander Gershon. Jordan Gertzler Holton. Shawhead Goreshi. Charles Gilbert. Marussia Lee Gislen. Gian Michael Guzum. Morgan Graham. Ron Gray. Sean Griffin. Irina Grisel. Hermes Gruyan. Samuel Ha. Christina Haller. Timothy Hollowell. Robert Hamilton. Robert Hammett. Stephanie Hahn. Nicholas Harnick. Lauren Hartel. Grace Harder. Linda Hedquist. William Hylidge. Elizabeth Heller. Nicola Hill. Philip Latke. Yuen Ho. Madeline Holland. Rosa Hung. Sung Hung. Alan Horsch. Martin House. Ya Huang. Daniel Hudner. Gi Jong Huang. Megan Hindman. Marwa Ibrahim. Daria Iventicheva. Michael Jacob. Jasmine Jamnajad. Ping Bo Jiang. Wei Jiang. Brittany Johnson. Charles Johnson. Tess Johnson. Bethany Krostrinsky. Benjamin Katsef Silberstein. Sirtaj Kaur. Jamil Khan. Allison Keeler. Hyung Ki Kim. Mi Young Jung Kim. Tae-hee Kim. Young Kim. Thomas Kinred. Vincenza Clem. Clara Knudsen. Joshua Kuntz. Georgia Christina Cosmidu. Nanjandi Karthik Krishnan. Seethal Kumar. Meredith Cummings. Kendrick Kwa. Monica Kwa. Somiya Kurup. Natasha Labranche. Dominique Lam. Edward Landreth. Austin Lastoka. Sarah Lawson. Esther Lee. Esther Lee. Kwang Yon Lee. Kyung Jin Lee. Justin Legg. Jared Lennon. Paul Like. Joshua Levkowitz. Lee Levy. Bo Lee. David Lee. Jiamin Lee. Yuen Lee. Wenxin Lee. Yun Liu. Frederick Lodge. Joseph Losavio. Jing Wenlu. Luana Masinik. Jennifer Major. Sarah Mailer. Elisa Mallerby. Robert March. Roy Martin. Andrew Martinez. Hillary Matfis. Takuya Matsuda. Kenji Matsuno. Alairia Masoko. Victoria McBride. Dylan McCall Landry. Caitlin McCrone. Kathleen McGlenn. Marilyn McNaughton. Flavia Moe. Matthew Melino. Laura Majunye. Jacob Morin. Maud Morrison. Nicholas Morrow. Claire Mortar. Julia Motalesi. Yuki Motomura. Alexander Morant. Stephanie Mullern. Christian Mullins. Amaury Munoz. Adam Myers. Pradanyamna Narakanudi. Jagabanta Ningtojam. Amin Noson. Desiree Okunola. Jackie Oldenburg. Emily Olsen. Drury Owens. Rebecca Pagel. Lee Ming Pan. Eva Panchilova. Julian Panis Lee. Alexandra Papateodoru. Sunny Park. Simon Parujoglu. David Pedigo. Luke Penn Hall. Chase Perfect. Meredith Peters. Lisa Flaum. Chloe Van Fee. Jeffrey Phillips. Jason Portner. Elena Bravetoni. Benjamin Preminger. Alexandra Coiralo. William Quinn. Mohammed Wada. Holly Rem. Daniel Richards. Amanda Roach. Ernestine Wouters van Lennep. Council Rowe. Rachel Rose. Vanessa Roy. Nathaniel Russell. Terry Rides. David Sachs. Armen Sahakyan. Tony Salamoni. Tracy Ann Saunders. Camila Cazzolati Sforsolini. Benjamin Shar. Yana Schick. Adam Schlegel. Derek Schlickheisen. Noah Schlosser. Philip Snattinger. William Schomburg. Gregor Schuler. Marie Sophie Schwartz. Samuel Sengwangu. Nili Shah. Oleg Shaklarov. Nathaniel Shipora. Ray Fan Shu. Erica Shiflett. Mohammed Schumann. Adam Schutte. Adam Siegel. Caroline Smealy. Charles Smith. Eva Maria Smith. Michael Saint Germain. Paul Stack. Marco Stecker. Andreas Stakar. Emily Tang. Tien Yi Tang. Álvaro Tarazona Soria. Jessica Tibor. Robert Tenorio. Bartholomew Tannhauser. Alessia Thibault. Marina Talchinsky. Jay Tati. Maricel Tres Palacios. Bryce Turner. UC Uti. Richard Upchurch. Aleida Urera. Joanna Vaneselt. Iso van Isinga. Nicholas Van Vliet. Mario Vanella. Shrey Verma. Spencer Vusick. Michael Waksher. Chu Wang. Lu Wang. Yo-Yo Wang. Yuen Wang. Rebecca Ward. Caitlin Watson. Zachary Weiss. Jason Whitney. Lisa Ween. Samantha Vita. Emma Woodward. Jeffrey Wright. Madeline Wright. Emily Wrigley. Minga Wu. Iorios Xenocratis. Diana Shu. William Yale. Yuna Yang. Wei Jia Yao. Diba Yavram. Min Kyung Yu. Semi Yun. Noel Young Wafer. Jasmine Yu. Fei Yuen. Philip Zager. Emily Seidler. Shinrei Zeng. Felix Zhang. Ge Zhang. Shuiting Zhang. Tian Tian Ju. Yihong Ju. John Ziegler. Carrie-Ann Zolman. Sandra Zuniga Guzman. Now it is my pleasure to present the candidates for the degree of Master in International Public Policy. Allison Archambault. Hakeem Asher. Adriana Beltran. David Burke. Jennifer Bellin. Ellen Bean. Jason Birch. Mark Burns. Michael Burton. Sofiko Psishvili. Ramses Cabrales. Gyung-Ju Cho. Matthew Coble. Fabrizio Cometto. Alex Douglas. William Duncan. Ryan Dutcher. Kirsten Evans. Patrick Francescan. Suzanne Fratcher. Mary Fryette. Carrie Gibbons. Rafael Guay. Robert Hammock. Robert Hollister. Gail Hunt. Divya Kapoor. Matthew Kerr. Anastasios Kezas. Leslie Kretzu. Erica Logan. Fadi Mansour. Albert Marcourt. Frederick Mill. John O'Donnell. Ali Omar. Pengiran Hussaini Pengiran Alaudin. Daniel Pesatore. Susanna Powell. Clint Reach. Julie Reinhard. Elizabeth Sanger. Sarah Shabir. Stephanie Simoni. Matthew Starr. Jonathan St. Clair. Karen Stutz. Jacob Tomasis. Jonathan Thompson. Boon Yi To. Giadra Valentaita. Samuel Verkovsky. Christine Vest. John Williams. Stephanie Wilson. Jason Wright. William Yardley. Augustus Zaizai. Now it is my pleasure to present the candidates for the degree of Master in International Economics and Finance. Alexander Avramov. Yang Fei. Yan Fu. Nandita Garg. Ariel Gutterman. Sharjil Hack. Jason Ho. Zi Xuan Huang. Ivana Ilich. Peter Johansson. Megan Kosla. Koshu Kuni. David Lackey. Jeffrey Lam. Yiren Lee. Xiang Lun Hua. Dimitrios Lakis. Ray Ma. Tanya Mud Noor. Mauricio Oshoa. Duigu Parlak. Wei Chuen. Peter Selchuk. Alexandra Summers. Kenji Suganuma. Weibin To. Rohan Trivedi. Jung Wang. Zheng Yao Wang. Kaiwei Xia. Se-Yuen Yang. Jing-Ying Zhao. Peng Zhao. And it is now my pleasure to present the candidates for the highest degree awarded, the Doctor of Philosophy. I will give their names and the titles of their dissertations. John Gans, The Midnight Watch, the NSF Staff, Drift and Presidential Decision in Conflict. Marcia McGraw-Olive. Institutional Change in Russia, the Case of Urban Land Rights. Neil Shinai, Feckless and Fickle. Central and shadow banking during the global financial crisis.
So on behalf of the school, I congratulate you all on a job well done. I will now ask Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, John Harrington, to come to the podium to present the student awards.
Good afternoon. The Christian A. Herter Award was established by the Friends and Associates of the school's co-founder, Christian A. Herter. This award for distinguished academic performance is presented in honor of the person whose vision and inspiration have encouraged generations of young people to perform effectively with skill and statesmanship in the international arena. The Herter Award is given to the student in the second-year class with the highest grade point average for the first 3 semesters. This year's winner of the Christian A. Herter Award is Kira Gatsu Katsuyani. Kira, would you please come to the podium?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The Herter Award is given for scholarship. The most important component of the next award, the William C. Foster Award, is service to the SAIS and the community. The certificate reads, quote, "For sound scholarship and a record of leadership and distinguished service to SAIS, exemplary of the high qualities of integrity, loyalty, and ability admired by Mr. Foster. This prize honors the former director of the Arms Control and Disarmament Agency, distinguished businessman, tireless public servant, and devoted SAIS Advisory Council member." End quote. The students receiving the Foster Award were selected for significant contributions to SAIS and the community. The 2 recipients of this award for this year are Chris Berger and Corey Bullock. Chris and Corey, if you would come forward. Dr. Rice will now introduce the members of the student government.
In recognition of their dedication and hard work, we would like to acknowledge the members of this year's Student Government Association and give them each a small token of our appreciation. Would the entire SGA please come to the front of the stage? Let's give them a hand as they come up. Chris Berger, President. Julia Motalesi, Vice President. Lauren Frederick, Treasurer. Ambra Avenia, SAIS Europe Representative. Andrew Martinez, Programming Chair. Margot Fembrazy, Hopkins Nanjing Center Representative. Tanya Mudnoor, MIEF Representative. And now it is my pleasure to turn the program over to Chris Berger and the great class of 2015.
Good afternoon, everybody. Get organized here. First, let me please welcome our honorable guests, faculty, family, and friends to this beautiful venue, the Daughters of the American Revolution Constitution Hall, on what surely is an exciting day for us all. Most importantly, fellow graduates, let me offer you a huge congratulations, the SAIS class of 2015. It has been an honor to serve as your president and student government this year and to have the opportunity to speak before not only my fellow graduating classmates, but the incredible faculty who have challenged and inspired us, and our wonderful families and friends who have nurtured, supported, and encouraged us every step of the way to make it where we are here today. So thank you all for your love and support. The SGA has worked to strengthen communication and interaction between faculty, staff, and students, and build programming around student interests to enrich the student experience at SAIS. I hope we made progress in advocating your interests and concerns, and thank you to the countless students, club leaders, and club members who have supported these initiatives throughout the year. Today, I am pleased to announce that our final initiative, the 2015 class gift, has exceeded our target fundraise of $5,000 and will be matched by an anonymous SAIS alum. If you still not have given and are dying to get your hands on one of these awesome koozies, there is still opportunity to do so on the third floor of NITSA during the reception. Thank you to everyone who has contributed towards not only leaving a legacy in honor of our class, but also towards supporting future generations of SAISers and ensuring they have an experience equally incredible as ours. I believe most of you would agree that the past 2 years at SAIS have truly been a transformational experience. A major part of what makes the SAIS education experience so incredible is the passionate and talented faculty we have here. Our professors have strengthened our understanding and capabilities across many fields, instilling greater confidence in us as we move forward in our careers. They have helped us find many new interests and passions we never knew we had. For example, I was always intimidated by microeconomics. After taking preterm micro, it turned out I loved it so much I had to take it all over again in the fall. Each year at commencement, we celebrate one faculty member in particular. by awarding them with the Max M. Fisher Prize for Excellence in Teaching. This prize honors the late Max Fisher, a longtime advisor to countless presidential administrations, whose daughter Marjorie was a former trustee of the Johns Hopkins University, and I can't help but mention in passing, was a lifelong benefactor to the arts, education, and health initiatives in my home city of Detroit. If while at SAIS you've learned modernization theory, how to calculate the marginal rate of technical substitution, or how to achieve the perfect crease when rolling up your shirt sleeves, you have likely, I gave it away, didn't I? You have likely had the pleasure of taking a course with this year's professor, or this year's winner. It is my great honor and pleasure to announce Professor Matthias Matisse as the winner for the second time of the Excellence in Teaching Award. Wait, hold on. One student said of Professor Matisse, SAIS as an institution has benefited enormously from his contagious enthusiasm for his subject matter. Historical bidding records can only hint at the well-deserved popularity of his courses, where complex economic and political events are analyzed critically and humorously. This statement demonstrates Professor Matthias's ability to move fluidly between quantitative and qualitative in a uniquely SAIS fashion. His interdisciplinary approach has endeared him to SAIS students and is reflected in his own research, leading him to publish his newest book, The Future of the Euro. Please join me in congratulating Professor Matthias Matisse and welcome him to the podium.
Thank you so much for this great recognition. To be honest, I am actually a little jealous of all of you, as from tomorrow onwards, you will have the world at your feet, or at least the beaches of North Carolina. You can do whatever you want, wherever you want. As for me, I will still be here at SAIS, knowing full well that there is absolutely no way that next year's class will be as exceptional as this one. You did give me this teaching award after all, and looking at the impressive band of academic rock stars sitting behind me on stage, it probably does not get any better than this ever. This award, however, also belongs to many of them, as I am only standing on their giant shoulders. Indeed, much of what I have learned comes from our own SAIS faculty, and really all I have been doing in the classroom is to pass on some of that knowledge to many of you. But let me thank the deans first. Dean Nasser for his transformative vision of SAIS and for the truly mind-boggling amounts of money he's raised for the school this year. Dean Harrington for taking a chance on a 25-year-old kid 10 years ago when he let me teach my first summer course at SAIS in macroeconomics. Dean Kunka for actually paying me a salary to do what I love doing most. And also a big thank you to SAIS Europe Director Mike Plummer. Mike, if you had not hired me as your TA in micro 14 years ago, I probably would not be standing here today. We're both moving up in the world. I also want to thank my colleagues on the SAIS faculty. It's a privilege to be one of you, and I continue to learn from many of you every day, and of course, our staff, the SAIS staff, too many to name them all, for making SAIS such a great place to work. And let me single out three. Kelly Cornell, Sherry Russo, Sherry Russo and Star Lee for everything they do for me every day. But I mainly want to thank our amazing students, and of course the great class of 2015. Let me single out a couple of you in particular. Brian Fox, my research assistant this year, who combines his sharp intellect with never-failing Irish charm. Hilary Matves, my teaching assistant in comparative politics, with her quick wit and a gifted teacher in her own right. And of course, and how could I forget, Neil Chennai, one of my most talented teaching assistants for more years, and I am sure he dares to remember. Congratulations, Dr. Chennai. It's you, our students, given your diverse backgrounds and wide interests, that make teaching not only fun, but also intellectually rewarding every day. Over the past 2 years, you have learned so many things in the broader field of international relations. How to destroy countries and how to rebuild them. Why it is always good for countries to trade freely with one another, and why it is not always good for them to have free capital flows. How to stop global warming, how to rebalance China's economy, how to solve the Israel-Palestinian conflict, how to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear bomb, and how to fix the design flaws of the Eurozone. And yet, I cannot help but imagine that the question on the minds of all your parents, your grandparents, your spouses, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your brothers and sisters, all here present today, is the following. Why didn't you go to business school? Why didn't you go to law school? Why didn't you go to medical school? What on earth is a master's degree in international relations actually good for? But the answer is simple. We need people who cannot just implement best business practices here in the US, but can adapt them to various regional contexts in order to create jobs and prosperity all over the world. We need people who can not just save individual lives, but can design new public health systems from scratch in order to save millions of lives. And we need people who cannot just practice existing law, but can come up with new constitutional designs and legal procedures for fledgling new democracies. And let's be frank, there is no better place in the world to study international relations in a truly interdisciplinary way than here at Johns Hopkins University's School of Advanced International Studies. So, you should all be very proud of earning your degrees today. Thank you all again very much for this award, and wherever you go, carry the spirit of SAIS with you in your hearts, and good luck in your future careers. Thank you.
Congratulations again, and thank you for those very reassuring words. In addition to our world-class faculty, countless administrators work on our behalf to ensure we receive not only the best education, but also the best possible experience while here. I would like to briefly recognize one administrator in particular, Debbie Walls. Debbie has been unconditionally supportive of student concerns and needs and worked tirelessly with members of the SGA to meet those needs. Debbie is a big part of what makes SAIS such a great place. This year, when welcoming incoming students at orientation, Debbie sat herself in the middle of a crowd of nervous students and instituted a SAIS first, the US fee, or what could soon become known as the SAIS fee. So in honor of that new tradition, Debbie, I would like to invite you to the podium to take possibly the greatest SAIS fee of all with the class of 2015.
You and I? Oh, me in the class? Yeah. Oh, we're all over that. How about a selfie with you and I? Oh, I got to get myself. Maybe I'm not such a good administrator. I can't follow directions like that.
Debbie Walls, everybody. Okay, so this is a cookie, but this is not just any cookie. This is the last cookie of the last cookie hour of your lives. Family and friends, to provide some background, every Tuesday at 4 p.m., students descend from the deepest, darkest corners of the library for cookies and coffee to recaffeinate, stress eat, and socialize with classmates. Cookie hour is an opportunity to drive home important economic concepts we learn in the classroom by observing them play out in real life, such as resource scarcity, opportunity costs, and when times get tough, tragedy of the commons. But more importantly, cookie hour is reflective of the exceptional community of students we have here at SAIS. By far, what makes SAIS such an incredible institution and community is the students, AKA SAIS family, AKA SAIS Mafia. Today, 475 graduating students from 48 different countries representing countless different cultures, languages, and perspectives come together to form one of the most unique, diverse, and talented student bodies anywhere on the globe. This truly is the honor, pleasure, and privilege of what it means to be a SAISer. The SAIS student community is one in which students volunteer with admissions to recruit the next SAISer, host countless events and activities to share their interests, or help a struggling classmate in need. Perhaps the most profound example of this was this year when a first-year classmate suddenly lost her sister and needed help to send her home to Zimbabwe. Right in the middle of midterm exams, club leaders dropped everything to come together and engage the community to raise funds for this effort. This truly is representative of the SAIS community. We go to school every day with inspiring classmates from whom we learn lessons of inspiration, motivation, and compassion. Each of these qualities and characteristics was reflected in speeches from 12 students that tried out to be this year's student speaker. I would like to take a second to recognize the two runners-up for student speaker, Elisa Donati and Pepe. Good job. It is now my pleasure to introduce our student speaker for the SAIS class of 2015, Armen Sahakyan. Armen concentrated in global theory and history, speaks 4 languages, is the founder of a think tank on Eurasian affairs, and the author of over 20 articles in top publications, all at the ripe age of 22 years old, the youngest student to graduate here today. Please join me in welcoming Armen Sahakyan to the podium.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris. I guess they do a pretty good job at the China Studies Department because there was some impressive intelligence you were able to gather on me. Dean Nasser, Secretary Paulson, faculty, staff, distinguished guests, family and friends, fellow SAISers, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Armen Sahakyan, or as I'm more commonly known here at SAIS, Armen from Armenia. Yes, you guessed it right, they named the country after me right when I was born. And no, I have to disappoint you, but I have no family relationship with the Kardashians. At least people at SAIS are sophisticated enough that I did not explain to them the difference between Armenia, Romania, Albania, and Algeria. I have actually been so privileged to be surrounded and interact with highly talented, fun people, and have learned so much from everybody, students and professors alike. On a slightly more serious note, I come from a country that traces back its statehood at least until the 3rd millennium BCE and has developed its distinct civilization over the course of centuries, contributing much to the progress of the mankind. The Armenian highland, being situated on the crossroads between Asia and Europe, has been a geostrategically valuable piece of real estate and thus an attractive land for a lot of empires to go to war with each other for its control. Over the course of time, the Armenian culture has interacted with its neighboring ones, giving and taking from each other at the same time. One of the most important attributes of the modern Armenian culture is the art of toast making. At every gathering around the table, the tamada, also known as the head of the table, decides on the course of developments of the feast, which always includes periodic interruptions of toasts. These are not mere well wishes and clings of glass. Rather, these are elaborate stories told with virtuosity, which are meant to thank, to educate, to praise, and to bond people with each other. This practice is one of the reasons why and how the Armenian civilization has been able to carry through many centuries, how the information and wisdom has been able to pass down from a generation to a generation. And today, as a representative of this small but proud people, and considering myself essentially as the Toastmaster of this graduation ceremony, I would like to offer a toast. Once students decide to pay a visit to their old professor, they would usually have long discussions, philosophize on the meaning of life, complain about their hardships, and ask for advice. Greeting them happily at the doorsteps of his house, the professor invites the students for a cup of coffee. As they settle in, the professor enters the room with a coffee pot and a variety of cups, both expensive and cheap. Going around the room, each student tries to get the most expensive-looking cup in order to show off to his friends. After students choose their cups, the professor says, "I noticed a pattern when you were choosing your cups. Each of you tried to get yourself a cup more expensive than the other, the one which looked richer and more beautiful. The same thing happens in life. You strive to get only the best for yourself, and that is normal." Hint, hint, maximizing utility. Since everybody was throwing in economics terminology, I thought I would do the same. But your cups will not change the taste of coffee itself. What I offered you was coffee, and yet you were busy choosing your cups. So is the life. It is the coffee itself, and all the rest, such as your house and your work and your social status, is the cup. The choice of which cup we have now will not affect the quality of our lives much. Very often, in the struggle for the most beautiful and expensive cup, we fail to feel the taste of life itself. Yet happiest is the man who is able to extract the best of what life is. And so, with the Sahakian family glass, I would like to offer a toast. A toast to life, family, and friendship that are also priceless and very important to every one of us. We should guard them as most dear and keep in the center of our lives. We leave SAIS with the fondest of memories, friendships that will last a lifetime, and full of new knowledge, creative ideas, and motivation that will change the world for the better. In this journey that is ahead of us, I wish that we try to enjoy the best sort of coffee that is out there, without paying too much attention to the cup in which it is served. It is like SAIS and its rival schools. We all know the other schools might have shinier and better looking buildings, but you know where you get the best international relations education, regardless if you went to Washington, Nanjing, or Bologna. Remember, graduating from SAIS is just the beginning, and the best is yet to come. Genats. Cheers. And before I leave, I finished my speech, but I cannot leave without saying a few words of gratitude. Firstly, I want to thank all the professors at SAIS and all the staffers, but I would particularly like to thank Professor Charles Duran, my advisor, as well as Professors Bruce Parrott and Professor Matthias Matisse. Congratulations on your award. I would also like to thank all my family and friends who are here to support me, my family from New Jersey, my friends from New Jersey, everybody else, and I want to specifically thank my family back in Armenia who is now live streaming. Mom, Dad, everybody, I love you so much.
Thank you, Armin, for those inspirational remarks and all your contribution to the life of the school in the past 2 years. It is now time to celebrate. I would like to invite all of the graduates and their guests to a reception at the not-so-shiny but always shining SAIS buildings. Thank you.